Hello and welcome to the Funnyfarm Pod Wackaday Special. And as you can see, it's a guest episode, and we have Chris, as always. He's just got back from Benidorm and looks like a cherry. Um, Morning, Chris. And we also have Craig Shaw, who, funny
Hello.
enough, is a comedian. Um, Craig, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're up to at the moment, mate?
Yes, thank you, and it's great to see you both. Thanks for inviting me on the pod. It's super exciting. I've been watching your pod for a while. So I think Charlie's right to point out, as many audiences do, that I bear more than a passing resemblance to Timmy Mallet. So that's fair cop. Chris and I have also been compared to Greg Wallace on a number of occasions, and if we're at the same gig at the same time, we make sure we wear a different outfit because we've a look, don't we, with these sort of Notts boys. Because I live in Derby, but I'm from Nottingham, and I think it's worth saying, you mighty pies, as we go into the playoff weekend. I'm Craig. I've been doing comedy for about 3 years. Really good friends with Chris, and we do a lot of gigs together. And I even did we did a gig last night. We could probably talk about that in a bit because shit went down. So a bit of foreshadowing. I'm sure that's something we can talk about. I'm a dad of two. I have a long-suffering and tolerant wife, bless her, who doesn't enjoy comedy as much as I do, it's fair to say. And I'm 4 years sober, which is something else I'd probably like to talk about, because if anybody else is thinking about making that decision, all I can say is it's been a bloody good one for me. So thanks very much, Charlie and Chris. Is there anything else you think I should be telling people?
Well, I just want to pull a couple of things up with Chris here. First of all, I said before, because he was stressing before you come on, and he's going, "Oh, I don't know where Craig is. I messaged him 8 minutes ago and he's not here yet." And I said, "Well, when was the last time you spoke to him? Have you got in contact with him this week?" He said, "Oh yeah, Monday, Tuesday." You did the fucking gig with him last night.
No, I didn't do the gig.
No, I did a gig last night, but it wasn't.
Oh,
It wasn't
sorry, I'll let you
with
off.
Chris, Charlie.
Sorry, Chris. You're breaking up.
You just jump on the bandwagon of everything you do, Charlie. Just like that. What can I do to have a go at Chris today?
But basically,
He looks like a cherry. He looks like a cherry today. Well, you look like a fucking toffee.
I do. And you know what? We need to get to 1,000 followers. And that, Craig, how many Facebook followers have you got?
Oh, barely any. I'm an absolute Luddite with that sort of thing. Also, I kind of like to. I feel like I'm in my nursery stage of comedy, so I prefer to make my mistakes in the shadows. I'm not a great publicist, am I, Chris? But maybe now's my time, as my profile increases. So yeah, not very many Facebook followers. I don't have an Instagram, but actually I was looking at the bios of some pro comics I'm on a bill with in June, and they don't have Facebook accounts or Instagrams at all. They just have agents. So hey, maybe I'll skip to an agent and do away with everything else. I don't think I'm quite good enough yet.
I think it's the age of social media, mate. I think you've got to try.
Yeah.
I mean, I've started trying to improve my profile on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, and it's going well. I mean, I'm getting there, but it's hard work because you've got to post. You've got to post stuff regularly to get that following. But yeah, I do think you can get an agent, but I think in comedy it's more like in acting, you apply to an agent and they look at your spotlight, they look at all this, that and the other. I haven't applied to one yet, but they with comedy I think it's more like you're scouted into an agency. I think it's more like you. I'm not sure. I'm not really at that stage where I want or need an agent. I'm not good enough yet to get an agent.
I mean, I genuinely was kind of being playful with the idea of me having an agent, but I do know we both know some people with agents, some really good comedians that we see all the time that have got agents. And I think, they do support them, and they can also just be there to have a chat to and see, what can they do differently about their act and all, but that's part of the scene that I'm just not really anywhere near yet. But I'm very much enjoying myself, very much enjoying the whole process. Comedy's a passion of mine. Absolute passion. I wouldn't do anything else. I love it. I love the highs and the lows.
Have you gigged in a swingers club yet?
Yeah, we did that together, didn't we?
That was one of the best gigs I've ever done.
Oh, you were there. You did
I was
it. You were
there.
there.
I was there with Chris. Every single thing in that building was either to go in you, on you, or somewhere else. Everything was up for grabs, but I found the people to be absolutely gorgeous. They were so sweet and so humble and so welcoming. And any notions I had beforehand that it was all going to, kick off and be arms and legs and limbs everywhere the moment we stopped talking, that all went away. And they were absolutely gorgeous. And I had such a fun set. And everybody else seemed to have a really good time as well. I know Chris did brilliant. He roofed it. I had one of my better sets. All the comedians that I gig with all the time had a ball. And, great shout out to Jack King, who I'm sure if you haven't already, you'll want to talk to on this pod at some point. He's done something quite special there. It's a good gig.
Yeah, me and Jack are doing a show together at the Ramfest on the 5th of June, 9:30 at the Bell.
Yes, yeah. I've got a one-man show on the 6th of June at 3:30 at Dubrex Studios. If we're doing plugs, that'll be fun.
You're doing a solo?
I am.
Fucking hell, mate, that's good. I mean, I've been doing this for donkey's years and I've not got an hour.
Yeah. I don't know if I have either. We'll see. We'll find out together, me and the audience. It's going to be one of those where everybody that I know is coming, I know really well. And playing to your friends and families can be tough because they're seeing straight through the facade to who you really are. So I do have a set. I have a plan. I have lots of things I'm going to do differently. Essentially, the opportunity came up to do it with a month to spare. And I went, fuck it, what's the worst that can happen? And I'm not following any of the normal comedy conventions to how long it takes to be ready, how many times you practice it, how you build it. I'm just going for it. Just going for it.
Well,
It's just got to feel right for you, though, hasn't it? No matter what you do, it's just got to feel right for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Say again, Chris?
When is it?
3:30 on the 6th of June.
I'll try and come if I can.
Thank you. But I'll be. It'll be part stand up. I've got some props, some music, all sorts of things. Because in my previous life, before I got into comedy, I've been an adult educator for a long time, and run like workshops for 500 people and corporate events and corporate affairs in the NHS. So I'm just unapologetically leaning back into how you can just engage with people for an hour rather than how you can do stand up for an hour, which is bloody hard. And so I'm not even going to try.
A PowerPoint presentation, Craig. You can fuck off.
I'm not doing any PowerPoint.
Have you seen that fella on there? You see that fella on Britain's Got Talent doing the PowerPoint presentation? There's a comedian on Britain's Got Talent who's doing a PowerPoint presentation. He's autistic and he's actually really funny.
Do you know what? I'm a great believer that there's a phrase that somebody once said to me, which is the dose that makes the poison. I think there are very few bad ideas. It's just how you do it. So I won't be using PowerPoint. I've seen some people do some brilliant PowerPoint comedy, going back to like Dave Gorman and stuff like that. He was absolute genius at it, but it's not my taste. And I think, I've got some other things up my sleeve that I want to keep under wraps. They don't.
It'd be quite funny if you got out the old acetate and the projector. That'd be fucking funny.
Oh God,
it's never the right way up. You just put it on and it's backwards. Then you turn it around, you realise it's mirror image. That thing's fucking lethal. Yeah.
Quite funny. I am having just to interject. I am having a little bit of technical. I don't know about yourself, Charlie. Craig's breaking up a little bit.
I'm having quite a lot. That's why I fucked up earlier. I thought he said that both of you were gigging last night.
It's all right.
It's not an excuse. I am a twat. It's not an excuse.
We can hear you, mate. We can hear you. If we're intently listening, it's because you are breaking up a little bit and your picture's like sliding all over the place. But the technology will sort that out, so the record will be fine. But just to let you know, if we look a little bit like...
That's most of the front row, most of my gigs, to be honest, Chris. That's the audience I'm used to playing to, whether it's in a club or whether it's my children just looking at me as if to say, what the fuck is he talking about?
The sound's coming through pretty well, actually. It's more the screen.
I
So
would have been clueless. So far, my version of this lovely conversation has been flawless, and I don't mean spiritually, I mean technologically. So thank you for telling me. I hope it's okay.
That's good. Craig, let's take us back 3 years then.
Yes.
What did you decide to be an egotistical, narcissistic, I'm going to make you laugh funny man? You all are. That's what you can't admit.
It's that's it. That wasn't technical. That was me hitting my foot on the cable. So yeah, we're all completely broken, aren't we, Chris? Comedians, and there's lots of really sensible conversations about what mental health we come with and what's our underlying issue, and you have to make a bit of an act about it. But what I would say is that I've always been obsessed with comedy. So whether it be the all-time greats, your Billy Connolly's, your Richard Pryors. From all over the world. I've been an avid consumer of stand-up comedy forever and ever. And if I'm left alone and I'm in charge of the remote control, Netflix goes only to whatever's on stand-up. Whatever specials are available. I very rarely watch anything else. So I've always had an interest in stand-up comedy, and in working in adult education in the NHS for such a long time, I couldn't do a seminar without putting in jokes. Sometimes you cross a line, sometimes you find a line. And so I had a natural inclination to make people laugh. And then it was just one of those fuck it moments. I talked to a couple of people about maybe doing it, and a good friend of mine said, "Oh, there's an open mic in deepest, darkest Leicestershire, and what about doing that thing you said you always would?" And so I gave myself a fortnight to write 5 minutes, and then I turned up to this little venue, which was a community centre in a village I can barely remember the name of. And when I arrived, it was all people tuning up banjos and violins, and girls going through their notes for their beautiful spoken word about something terribly important. I just thought, this isn't my crowd. But I did it, and I managed to get a couple of people to put their heads up from whatever they were doing, and I got some laughter in the right places. And I sat down, and then I thought, this feels amazing. I'll have to do this again. And then the second gig I ever did, which I kind of count as my first gig, and it's all down to interpretation, as I played the Canal House, the NCF gig, new material night. So I kind of took my first gig that was barely coherent as a practice for that, and I played that room, and it went well. And Peter Fox was there from Nottingham Comedy Review. And I didn't know the world. I didn't know who he was, but he introduced himself to me after the show and said I did good, especially for new. And I thought, oh, he'll be at all my gigs. And he was at the next one, but I've never seen him since. So I got 2 reviews in 2 of my first proper gigs, and they were like, he's onto something here. So I thought, well, I'll keep doing it. And I met Chris really early as well. So and getting to know so many people in comedy has enabled me to kind of just feel part of something, and it's a lovely community. There are loads of dickheads and bellends, but I either don't know them, or I don't know that they are them, or I haven't met them yet. Most to everybody I've met in comedy has been absolutely brilliant and very supportive and very kind, and there's a lot of camaraderie. So it's been something I've thoroughly enjoyed being part of, a community and new friendships.
I've noticed that, I mean, as I said earlier, I haven't got anything to do in the comedy scene, and we've had a lot of comedy guests on since we've been doing this podcast over the last 6 months, and you can tell that, it's a great community. Chris is even though I wind him up and call him a twat all the time, he's a good guy, really.
Thank you, mate.
But it's a great community, and everybody who comes on, we've had a laugh, haven't we? We have a laugh, and we always come out of the guest episode when there's a comedian on, going, oh, that was brilliant. Yeah. It's good. It's a good feeling, isn't it? So
yeah, it's grand. I think we've known each other probably just over a year, haven't we? About 18, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think I definitely remember gigging with you at the Royal Standard, and then we started chatting from there, and you offered to help me work on my stuff, which is either a beautiful offer or your very calm way of saying that was bullshit, I can help you, and you don't have to say which it is, Chris. We're beyond that now. Yeah, we've been close ever since and played lots of gigs together that we didn't even know who each other was going to be at. And despite me being a Notts County fan and Chris being a Forest fan, somehow we make it work.
Yeah, I've got nothing against Notts County, mate, because there's no threat. So,
No relevance. No.
It's been like Liverpool and Everton. Yeah.
yeah. I think so. The Royal Standard was the first time we had a proper conversation.
Yeah.
But I think I met you at the Rigger for the first time.
Yeah. That was really
You
nice.
I think you did some card tricks and stuff, and you got gonged off.
Yeah, I was in. I mean, I never stop fucking about because my attention span means that I'm always moving on to new material when I should be practicing. But that particular night, I was. You remember those, Charlie? Remember those like folded paper things for like. Does the girl fancy you?
Yeah.
Blue,
With
green.
yeah.
Count 1, 2, 3. I thought, in my wisdom, I would allow the audience to determine my set, and this is in Stoke. These are like salt of the earth people. I thought, well, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll bring one of those, and the guy on the front row can decide my set for me because I've got different jokes behind different panels. It was an unmitigated disaster. I think I got through the first vote, but not the second, and I deserved to be carted out in a bag. It was shocking.
When I first saw you doing it, I thought, what the fuck is he doing?
Terrible idea.
Absolutely terrible idea. Brilliant.
And I think it's...
I think that night was stolen because I got through to the final and Mike was stolen by the fact that Spiky Mike knocked his fucking PA off.
Oh, he did?
Remember, in the final, Marty Riley won it, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a good act. Marty's great. Yeah.
I think it was Marty, wasn't it? And fucking Spiky Mike had like lent on one of the speakers and it fucking...
Yeah.
There was a little bit of controversy at that one as well because he'd kind of gone through the clap off and he'd done the early bit and I definitely hadn't won. But Chloe Reynolds was on that bill and he didn't even... I don't think he even gave the full rota, the clap off. So when Marty Riley won, there was a few people come to me at the end and said that they all thought Chloe should have won and that he didn't really give her a clap off. But
was this in the swinging club?
No, this was at the Rigger in Newcastle.
The Rigger does sound like a swingers club, to be fair, Charlie.
And the clap off as well. Yeah.
I've got syphilis. I've got gonorrhea. I've got AIDS.
Let's have a clap off. Let's see your warts.
And then I think it was a couple of weeks later. I think I closed and I did about 15 minutes at the Royal Standard, I think, and that's where we first kind of had the conversation and met properly, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair to say that my... just remembering the Rigger, I know I've been like almost like full body shivers. It was terrible, but I love my bad gigs. I've learned so much from them, and Chris remembers the Rigger, so that obviously meant that he thought he could say hello to me in the future, which has paid off big time. And another one of my worst gigs ever. I met other people when comedians spontaneously come up to you afterwards to give you a hug. That's something, then you really know you have bombed. But I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. And I don't know when I will know if I've cracked it. I suppose if you think you have, you're in trouble. And so I expect to have another bad gig in the future. And I'm really not bothered. I just keep pressing and guessing and learning something from it every time.
It's like playing any sport, I suppose, isn't it? You have your good weeks and you have your bad weeks, and I suppose, you're not going to win every game, are you? You're not going to win over every audience. I suppose it's like that. But I suppose you learn from your bad nights. Do you learn from them?
I do.
Does it just do your head in and it puts you into a dark place?
The worst gig for me is when it's okay. That's the worst gig. It's like you've gone out there, you've done your normal stuff, they've laughed in the right places, but it's not like gone like I said, half laugh, and then it goes roof. They're the worst ones because you kind of come away going, what what could I have done to have done that? If you die on your arse, generally, like, my set's reasonably solid now. I mean, I'll look at the audience and I'll go, right, this will work with them, this will work with them. And I've got 2 alternative openings, so I can do, like, if it's a little bit more somber, I can break them in a bit more gently. If not, I go in with some harder stuff, and then I do the gentler stuff, and then I finish with harder stuff. So I mix it up quite a bit, and I've got probably 30, 40 minutes worth of material that I can, like, rope into 20 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it is. So when you've, like, think, wow, that worked, and it's like, you then go, could I have done a bit different? Could it have been better? If you die on your arse, generally, because you can't stray too far from your persona. You can't, your stage persona, the way that you are, you can't really stray too far from that. And specifically for me, it's like, I'm anecdotal, situational. So although, like, you embellish on stuff that's happened to you, most of my set, as Craig will attest, it's pretty much come from stuff that's happened to me or situation, and I've formed the material from there. If those people don't like your persona and they don't like the situations you've been in, like, they don't like a story about swinging or chucking somebody through a window or whatever, you know, all these things come from truth, and you're not going to win those people over. So if you die on your arse, it's literally like, well, they just didn't like me. Yeah. And you can have, like, you can go on with acts who you don't think are as good as you, and they'll smash those gigs, and it's like, well, that person's just connected with the audience better. If you roof the gig, you just go away going, that was brilliant, awesome.
Yeah.
So the worst gigs are the ones in the middle. If you've not died, you've not smashed it, the ones in the middle where you're kind of driving home and you're like, what could I have done differently? Like, if you've completely died on your hoop, and I'll be honest, that doesn't happen very often. If you've got your set to a position where, you know, it works most of the time, there'll be little bits in it where people will go, oh, don't like that, or, you know, or they'll go, fucking hell, I like that. And that's fine. That's cool, because, you know, comedy's completely subjective. And it's like Craig said, he got through the first 2 minutes of his set at that Gong show, and then, like, you're basically on a Gong show, you're down to 4 or 5 people or 3 or 4 people who've got cards, and they just, so, like, the rest of the audience can be fucking loving you. And then that happened to me at the Rigger. I did it, like, a year before when I first met Fraser Ball, and that gig was one where I ended up, like, I stopped doing comedy because of it again, because it, like, I think I got through the first gong and then got gonged off, and all the audience were laughing, and you just think, what the fuck? But yeah, what about you, Craig?
I mean, I just find it fascinating, Chris, because Chris knows how much I look up to him. I think Chris is a very, very strong act, and the idea that people wouldn't go with him is bizarre to me, because I've never seen him do anything other than kind of charm people in at the beginning and then take them on a journey. Some of the things you say are pretty rough, and I love that, but you've already earned, you've got them, so you can drag them through, and with a little bit, you know, you raise your eyebrows and as if to say everything's going to be okay. You've got all this lovely crowd work, but it's not like the TikTok crowd that everybody's into at the minute. You know, it's just proper good old fashioned crowd work about engaging with people. So the very notion that that you wouldn't be able to connect with an audience, I think is bizarre, because I've never seen it. And I think when I've gone wrong, it's 100% been my fault. I've made bad choices in the wrong room. I've done stupid things. I haven't practiced, and I'm not bothered. And I've learned a lot from it. That paper, Fortune Tellers, I think we used to call them. I know, you know, it should never be mentioned again because it was such a disaster. But I will say, I used that in another room to a different audience, and they loved it. But it was a much smaller room, and they weren't all kind of disenfranchised ex-miners with no hope or whatever. Sorry, Rigger. But like, this was just a different room and a different audience. And just because it been exciting and it had worked, doesn't mean that I go, well, I tell you, the next time I'm in a Gong show, which is brutal, in a working men's club style environment, which is brutal, I'll bring out that fucking origami. It was just a stupid idea, and I shouldn't have done it. And I think I should have been out on the first vote, but I think some of the people were just confused and just wondered what I was going to do next. And what I did next was I made it worse. So I stand by it. I'd rather fail taking chances than fail not taking chances. So it's not like I'm an edgy experimental comedian, but Chris knows that I'm inclined to tinker when I should just practice and leave alone. So yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, and I've mentioned this on the pod before. I think it was on when Debbie was on the last guest. The only way that you know if something works in comedy, you think about it in your head and you go, oh, I like that. You write it down, you figure it out, and then the next thing that you have to do is do it to an audience. And you could have done that thing because it is quite quirky, and some of your act is quite wacky and quite quirky.
Yeah.
And I love that about your act. But like that could have worked, a dream, and like, on that night. And I've only seen it not work, but I'm sure that it could work. It's not a shit idea.
Yeah,
I think it's genius.
Relatable. Everybody of our age, everybody of our age will have. I mean, it was more girls that did it at school, but you can see them with the fucking thing like doing the.
I love it. I did it loads. My kids have done it well through their school. It's a generational thing. They all do it. They love it.
Yeah.
So it's
I think that's genius.
It's completely relatable, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
and just because they didn't get it in Stoke, I mean, I don't think they get much in Stoke, to be honest with you.
No more gigs in Stoke for you.
I was going to say, what do you do with your hate mail, guys? You're going to do one of those YouTuber apologies. I just need to apologise to all of my audience.
We have done a few of them, haven't we? We have done a few apologies.
He knows I'm deeply sensitive, so he just, if anyone says Chris is a specky big fat cunt, then he just gets rid of them, don't you, mate?
It's not Charlie's got big ears, but
so so that was kind of one of was that the worst gig you've ever done?
No. No, because I thought to myself, I took a chance. I put everything on red, and it didn't work. One thing that does work in that set, and I've done it 3 times, and not for a long time, is that when you open the panels, it either says just a cue for me to take over, or it's a statement for the audience to read. So I write it so it's their voice, and they open it and they say, "I touched myself during Bake Off," and I say, "Well, that's an interesting confession," and that gets a big laugh. But the thing is, it's not even guaranteed to come up because it's random. So like the best joke in that premise may never see the light of day because there's maths involved. So despite that being by most people's assumptions the worst gig you could have, I had a worse one. I don't know what it was at the Royal Standard, which is the place to do them. I decided I was going to do silly voices, and somebody walked out during one of my jokes. I pretended that there was a setting on the microphone that made your voice really high, which entertained my kids when they were 6 years old. But I don't know. Something came over me, and the front row just got up, shook their heads, and left the venue because of my act. And I thought, that is mint. I've done something special there. And it was after that gig that Jack King gave me a hug. And I think he said he'll look after me forever after that. And I barely knew him. And Jack King's a lovely hugger, isn't he, Chris?
Jack's lovely, mate.
He's a man mountain. And he always smells nice, despite looking like he shouldn't. And Lewis gave me a hug, and Lewis and I'm sure I'll talk about him a bit more. We've been comedy partners ever since. So sometimes you just have to put yourself out there. I think I also made a joke about the fact that Yorkshire tea is not an identity and can everybody calm down. And I think I lost another 2 people just because of that. So, yeah.
Have you ever had anyone shout your shit or anything like that? I don't think I ever have.
No, because I think people think I'm in some sort of programme, some sort of... I think I elicit sympathy and not hatred. I'm pretty low threat, aren't I, Chris? But again, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change any of these experiences for the world. And even when I've had like really, really bad mental health issues, as so many comedians do, I'm sure you've talked about, comedy's the one thing I can get back to. It's the one thing to call my own. It's my safe place. Even when it's going badly, I still feel like I'm in a little bubble when I'm on stage, and it's a safe place for me. It feels a little bit like I don't look like it, but I can surf. And when you catch a wave and the world just goes away, I feel somehow cosmically bonded to my own universe when I'm doing comedy, and I'd never stop doing it for that reason, amongst others. So, and it is nice when it goes well, but like a lot of things, the adrenaline of hearing people laugh goes away, and then you feel a bit lonely and the house is a bit quiet, and you go back on social media just to top yourself up because somebody else might have commented, say you had a good gig, cheers mate, and you go, oh, I feel better again. You just riding that chemical, biological wave. It's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah, it's good, mate. We're all there for information, aren't we, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
It's like
we've all got egos.
Like people, more than anything, it's like you want good, honest, positive feedback. And it's all, if it's critical, fair enough. We can all take a bit of criticism. What's the best gig you've ever done?
I'd say recently, definitely the Naughty Pineapple in Leicester. So much fun. Yeah. And I'd say, because I keep a little notepad, I keep a lapel note of all the gigs that I do, and I give myself scores out of 10. And there are a couple of 2s in there. We mentioned them, 2 out of 10. I'd say I give myself an 8 out of 10. And it's how I feel. It's not how good I think I am compared to other people. It's like, where was I compared to what I could do at that time? So I give myself an 8 out of 10 for the Naughty Pineapple, just because I was having a lot of fun and I could have stayed up there for another 20 minutes. And that's an uncommon feeling, because normally I'm thinking, I'm done now, I should leave, even when it's going well. And another one was just where the Royal Standard upstairs was absolutely heaving. It was in the summer. My son and his girlfriend came along. One of my best friends came along. And I was just absolutely in the pocket all night. I'd just come from a couple of half-decent sets. And for me, I overcomplicate things. If I practice and I prepare and I write and I stick to the thread of what I'm doing, those gigs go well. When I write gigs on the way there, or I throw in a stupid concept, or I try something that I think will be just magical or hope for the best, those gigs don't go too well. And I kind of got in the pocket with my set, and everything felt easy. On stage, I was having fun, and that was my 9 out of 10. And when I got off the stage, my son said, "Oh, Dad, you're a proper comedian, aren't you?" And that felt really good. And he's a cynical bugger as well. He wouldn't just do it anyway. And my best friend, who's incredibly cynical, who hates comedy, said, "Oh, I'd come see that again." He loves experimental music, walks in the country. He's a bit of a super intellectual, and was like, "Oh, mate, that was good. You can do this." And so, yeah, that was probably the best gig I've ever had. Yeah.
Can I just ask, not being in the comedy scene? I mean,
yes, Charlie.
If you feel really great, like you did what was it called, the Naughty Pineapple in Leicester, which was obviously the swinging club. I keep bringing it back to the swinging club, don't I?
It's amazing.
Because I want to wear suzzies. So is it the surroundings that you are? Does that help a lot? Like you're in a good place and it feels good. Does that help with how you perform?
I would say that it can, but again, I try and stick to a few basic principles, which is, if something doesn't go well, that is just as much on me as the ones that do. So I try not to say, the room was with me or the room was against me, because I just think that means that I'm probably not going to be focusing on getting the right learning out of whatever just happened. The thing about the Naughty Pineapple is that the room is a good size. So even if there's only 10 or few people, it feels like it's a 30-40 seater. And they're inherently, they're bound to have an up for it energy. If you think about what they're doing when we're not there, that is a very freeing and safe space for them. So I think there's probably very little room for cynicism in their lifestyle. They're just like, bring it on. When a 70+ woman in the middle of the room confesses during the middle of my set that she likes bukkake, and to the youngsters that watch this podcast, don't Google it. And I'm not going to say what it is because I don't know what your demographic is. But like, when you've got that kind of room, they are a little bit easier to play to. And at that point, you've just got to maximise. You just feel it and go, right, I'm going to do a bit more, or I could do a bit less, or I can pivot over here. And it was a lot of fun. Really, really was.
I'm going to give you a piece of unsolicited advice now.
Yes, please, Christopher.
Yeah, so that's the best gig I've ever seen Craig do, right? So we've gigged loads together. He was brilliant. He was on point. Don't, like, the fact is, right, and this is for you as well, Charlie, because the question that you asked. When I first started doing comedy, I prejudged every room that I went into. So if I walked into a room and there was loads of women in there, or there was loads of like middle-aged to older people, I would think this is going to be a fucking car crash. I'm not going to get on that well here. If the room was full of working class or older blokes or you know, a mixture of that kind of drinking culture kind of thing, I always used to think I'm going to do really well here. And the fact of the matter is, right, that whether you take a working class woman or a middle class senior citizen female or a group of stags or a group of hens, they will laugh at stuff that's funny, and it's got to be funny to them. So there's one point. But what I would do if I was you, mate, I would have you've got a video of the pineapple and you've probably got a video of the Royal Standard. I would have a look at those two videos and I would bottle that as your performance. I would bottle that as what you know, they're the two best gigs you've done. Look at the material you've done. Fair enough, there might be some material that you have to take out because you did it as it was crowd work or it was something specific to that room. But you can go and play lots of different demographics with the way that you played that gig, and they'll laugh at you, mate, because you've found you're funny. And that's what it's all about. Yeah. I don't really worry now about what the demographic is. And fair enough, I've got a lot of material so I can switch it about. But you're going to do an hour, so you've got a lot of material as well.
Yeah.
You can look at the room. You know the material works. Like I did a gig for Jew Bados, which is Judith Barras in near Cambridge that way. And in the pre-gig amble, she said, "Lower the F's and Jeffs and no C words." And so I flipped it round. I did a completely different opening to what you've seen me do recently, which is my more natural opening now. So I don't do the swinging stuff early, and in fact I didn't do it at all, and I just opened with ailments and being old and growing old and stuff like that, and there was probably 4 or 5 people in that audience who were younger than me or my age. All the rest, it was like you could have been playing to a nursing home. They were older people, and I smashed the shit out of it, mate. I went on first, which is the hardest position to go on. You just know what's funny, and you just know, don't when it comes to the surroundings, sure, it does make a difference. Like if you go to a comedy club and everybody's comedy savvy and they're all looking, they've seen hundreds of stand-up comedians, you'll get a different response to doing the Royal Standard where half of them are comedians and comedians' families. You will get a different response. But the fact is, by looking at the gigs that you've done well at, you've found what's funny to those people there. And there ain't that much difference between one person and the next.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest learns I've ever had in comedy was not prejudging a room, not going, oh, this could be a car crash, and I've done it. Like recently, I've gone into a few gigs. I've walked in the Ladybrook gig for Debbie Holt. I walked into that and I went, oh, for fuck's sake, this is going to be a nightmare. And it was beautiful. I closed it, did 20 odd minutes. It was great, You just don't prejudge, just, go back and study what's made people laugh and put that into your set, mate. Just make that your club set.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Thank you, Chris.
Does that answer your question, Chad?
No.
What was the question?
No, it's just your surroundings. I know you shouldn't judge the room and all that, but it's just you just go in and this. I'm going back to the swingers club, aren't I? This is a swingers club. This is going to be great. you know.
Charlie, just go to the swingers club, mate. Let's not mess about. You need to go.
I need
We'll
to go.
take you one time.
I need to get down to the naughty pineapple.
You've got to. You're talking
So
about it too much.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, right? In that audience, I think there was approximately 10 swingers there.
Yeah.
Right. I took 3 people with me. I think Liz took a couple of people with her. Callum brought someone with him, and the rest were comedians, right? And those 10 swingers, they are probably only swingers in that environment. They go to work on a Monday, and they're probably not swingers. They're just normal people who have a proclivity to swap partners. And let's be honest, that's just a human thing, isn't it? Monogamy's not normal for human beings, right? So they're just normal people. And that's my argument. It's like you go to a swinging club and go, I've got to do jokes about spunking, or I've got to do jokes about, sex swings and all this, that and the other, which we all did. We all picked on that a little bit. It's what you do. But effectively, they've all got lives outside of swinging. So you don't have to just relate to that part of their life. You have to relate to other parts of their life. And sure, I opened up with a swinging joke. I did my swinging routine, right? But arguably, that probably wasn't the best part of what they went with. It wasn't probably the best bit.
Yeah, no, but it's just about the environment that you work in. I think who did we have on that time? Was it Big Sean when he was going on that he went to that place? Was it in Sheffield and it was Sheffield had just been relegated or something, and it was a bad day, and it's just like the atmosphere in the pub and stuff like that. Surely that would have an impact on your routine.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think generally what you have to split it, you kind of have to split gigs and non-gigs. You kind of have to do that. The swinging club was a gig. They were all there for comedy. They'd paid to come in, and it was a I think it was a non-swinging night. I think it was like just the night that they put on. So they were all there to listen to us tell jokes.
Yeah,
that's kind of number one what you need. So that gig that Sean spoke about, I've never done it, but from what I gather, it was in a pub. It wasn't set up for comedy at all. It was kind of like, it was just the locals. They'd been out all day drinking. Sheffield Wednesday had lost, or whoever it was, Sheffield Wednesday had lost. So they were all pissed up. They were shouting at the comedians. They weren't comedy savvy. They didn't understand the rules of comedy. So I think you have to put a big line down that. And sure, if you walk into one of those, the best thing to do is just get onto their level and start taking the piss out of them and all that kind of, do the Paul Smith kind of stuff. That's kind of, you've got to get on their level. But effectively, if I did that and then came away from it, I've forgotten about that gig when I've got home because it's a non-gig. If I go and do Hot Water Comedy or the Frog and Bucket or the Comedy Store or any of those, you'll go in there. Those people have paid a good amount of money to see you do comedy. They know the rules of comedy because generally a lot of them have already been and seen live comedy. They know the rules of it. And I don't know. I think there's like one of the learns that you kind of get along the way is that sometimes you'll get booked for a gig and you turn up and you go, this is not a gig. But you do it to say your words, to say your lines, to try new stuff, to have a bit of crowd work practice or whatever it may well be. But generally, the advice that I gave to Craig there was like, Loretta, who was in the swinging club, right? She's got a life outside of swinging. It's probably just a small part of her life.
Yeah.
Just her sexual life. So, that she does that, and yeah, sure, there's a few jokes in there that you find that she'll find funny that are related to that. But she's got kids, she's got grandkids, she's got a job, she's got, hobbies that are outside of that. And effectively, if you could, it's all about being relatable to people. That's the whole point. If people can't relate to what you're doing, it's like I said about the the playground game that Craig did on stage. If I was him, I'd work on that and probably try it again, because it does suit your persona, that.
Yeah.
And I think that, if you could figure a way out, I don't know if there's somebody who's like incredibly mathematically intelligent out there who can make it so that every time that gag ends, it ends on that bit.
Yeah.
The bit that says, I touched myself during Bake Off. If you could figure out how that it always ends on that.
Yeah.
Like, even if you just kind of mess about and like make it like do that. Yeah.
Yeah, rig the raffle. Yeah.
It's worth working on, because you are you're kind of a bit outlandish, a bit wacky, and it's a great act. I remember me saying to you when I saw you at the Cock and Hoop, and I said, I'm not sure I'd go down doing the high fives and stuff like that. I've changed my mind on that. I think that suits what you do, and it sets the room up for what you do, right? But you can do that to youngsters, students, you can do that to middle-aged people, you can do it to working-class people, and you can do it to older people, and they'll all relate to that stuff. So if you get a gig where you turn up and it's just the Red Lion pub, and Jeff and Steve are sat at the bar in the seats that they always sit in every Saturday night, right? And they're just going to talk about golf and football and how the wives pissed them off that week. While you're on the microphone, you're doing your stuff. If the place isn't set up for comedy, you can't judge what that's going to be. You know what I mean? Because you talk to Jeff and Steve at the bar, and they could just go, "Fuck off, mate. I come in here every Saturday," or you could turn them around and you could get them on board. That's like a lucky dip. It's like a lucky dip, and a lot of new gigs are coming out now where the people are learning on the spot. So new comedians to get gigs now, and it's kind of been like, I set a gig up when I first started because I wanted stage time, I wanted to learn how to MC and all that kind of stuff. And it's still the same now. There's not enough promoters willing to go, right, we'll have 2 10s in the middle. A lot of promoters now are doing that 20-20-20 thing, or 20-15-20. That they're not putting the 2 newer acts in the middle. Some do, don't get me wrong, and I apologise if I'm pigeonholing. But a lot of it now is that. So you've got, like, in order to get stage time, like what James and George and Alex are doing, and yourself in Derby, is great, because it's just giving newer acts an opportunity, and then they've got progression gigs where you can move on to. So yeah, and so a lot of gigs is being set up, but because the acts are newer who are setting the gigs up, they don't know that the bar should really be closed while the acts are on. No one should be coming in and out while obviously if you're desperate for a piss, go and have a piss, but while ever's possible, you sat for half an hour maximum. Get a drink at the break. You don't need to go to the bar, and the room should be separate to the public bar, so Steve and Jeff can have their conversation about golf, and other people who've come in to watch the comedy can watch the comedy. So there's 2 different. There's a non-gig and proper gigs in my head. Like the Hawk and Buckle that Craig runs, and you can talk about your company gigs in a sec, mate. But that room is superb because it's upstairs, it's out of the way. The public bar's miles away, so you can't hear any. Yeah, it's just a perfect place for comedy, and you run it really well.
Thank you.
So, but there are a lot of gigs where you turn up and it's just a local pub. 50% of the people are there for comedy, and 50% are just there to chat shit and try and derail you.
Yeah.
So, anyway, talk us through like what happened with your gigs and how you came about setting up PYS.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so following that, one of my worst ever gigs, I struck up a friendship with Lewis. And Lewis and I at the time were going to an improv class. And any comedians that haven't tried doing improv workshops, I recommend that you do. It's a whole other culture, but there's so many crossovers to conventional stand-up. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And it's, it can be a bit corny and it can be this, but everything's got, got that potential. But it's such a lovely group of people at Chewy Improv in Derby, and people that should go and check that out. And in that, we met a veteran comedian called Pat Robinson, who has done all sorts of gigs. She's played to thousands. She's played to celebrities. She's in her 80s. She's a real character. And she said to Lewis and I, "Oh, you're stand-up comedians. I'm struggling for minutes before I go to Edinburgh." And I didn't really have a concept of Edinburgh. I didn't really have a concept of how to build a show. So Lewis and I took it upon ourselves to put together something like a showcase for Pat, because she couldn't find any promoters to give her an opportunity. And then we, at that time, we were called Shop Hit Comedy, because we had to come up with something, and we used the dreaded AI button to give us a logo. We don't use AI anymore. And we booked the waterfall, and we put together a group of comedians, including Chris, to actually starting from the idea of how can we help a friend out and turning it into a conventional club night. And it went better than it should. And right at the beginning of that, because Lewis and I are unapologetically soft lads, we prioritised, because it's our nature, the comfort of the acts. We're creating the best conditions we can for the act, so it's a really fun, nice place. We get people snacks. We made sure everybody got access to a phone charger. Did you want a tripod? And the room wasn't ideal, but we made it work. And we thought, right, we might be onto something here. We'll keep doing it. And we just kept doing it. And we changed the branding from Shop Hit to PYS, which is kind of just like, it's the acronym for pissing yourself. And we stumbled across the Hawk and Buckle from using the waterfall in Central Derby. We found the Hawk and Buckle because of somebody's 40th birthday. It's just a function room, but it's an exceptional function room. It's beautiful. It's the sort of idyllic converted barn space. It's got its own bar, it's got its own toilets, it's wheelchair accessible, the parking's decent, and it's just been brilliant. And the landlord has been superb as well. So his name's Chris Peach, and he's got a kind of part of an empire of outdoor entertainment, music, all sorts of things. So he's got a big reach. And he was immediately collaborating with us to make the most out of the night. And the first gig that we did at the Hawk and Buckle, I think we got a 20 and a 30 turn up to the waterfall. And in the first show, Chris did about 15 minutes just taking the piss out of my dad for looking like Harold Shipman. And so I was having an amazing time watching that. And my dad still remembers it to this day. Of course he does. So we're getting 20s and 30s to that. And when we started at the Hawk and Buckle, 70 people turned up for our debut. We thought we were going to have a safety issue because we didn't know where to put people. And we've gone through that. And again, we just want to make sure that the acts know exactly what's happening, what time, where to go, that we look after them, because I think you get a better show if you look after people. And we try and make space for women in comedy, for people of colour in comedy. You can say that's tokenism. But again, we just want to create that environment where people know that we're doing everything on purpose and we're doing it for the right reasons. So it's going pretty well. The numbers are dropping off. I'm told it's seasonal. So we didn't have great numbers last night. I had good fun. So we need to get back to the 40s and 50s plus. I think, Chris, when you played there most recently, I think we had 15 to 20, which for midweek comedy is not bad, but we know it can be so much better. So it's
the gig I did, the actual gig, there was probably that, but then the comp night that I did, it was full, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yes, Chris is right to remind me of that, because we've kind of good friends with and demonstrated to people like James Beckett and George Coppen and Alex Leam that are very much part of the promotion side of things in Derbyshire, and they're fantastic comedians as well and good people. They said, well, the Hawk and Buckle is a great place to be part of the festival competition. So we've hosted 2 of the shows for the festival, and they were, pretty much sellouts. The competition goes over very well with the public. I think a lot of people bring extra friends and family, and also it's a big draw for the wider comedy audience. They like competitions. It makes sense, and they're great. I emceed those as well, which is a lot of fun, and I'm doing more emceeing at the moment, which again, like Chris says, suits my kind of chaotic energy. I'm quite into talking to people as I go along. So which is either a skill or just a cover for the fact I haven't prepared what I'm going to say, and you can decide. But I do tend to mix in standard material with improvised material when I do emceeing, and just try and remember to set a tone of like, be respectful. You can heckle me as much as you want, but don't heckle the act unless they talk to you. when it goes well, it goes really well there at the Hook and Buckle.
Great, really good gig.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like the whole Derby scene's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I feel glad to be a part of it.
Because Nottingham's got a good circuit, and like you mentioned, NCF, Ben Davies. Obviously, Denzel's got a few round Nottingham, Denzel Eade, or Denzel De Cristo is his stage name.
Jack King, Stevie Gray.
You've got Russ Lee, who's starting to do some nice gigs as well. I've done 2 or 3 of his, and he's got a venue in Nottingham, which I think I'm going to be doing something for the Nottingham Fest with him there. Yeah, it's nice because it means that you've got like that locality. Leicester's always got a few there as well. I don't often travel to Leicester, but there's a few gigs in Leicester. So Debbie's obviously doing great work up in the kind of Mansfield, that kind of area, Worksop kind of area. And then there's Sheffield, you've got April, Jake Brooks, who's been on the pod, Anna's coming on as well, James Hasham. So it's like you've got like it's really good because you've got like a pretty good spectrum of gigs locally now. Where I mean, I still do travel, but you don't have to travel quite so far as when I first started doing it. I remember me and Fran Jenkin doing some ridiculous car shares like to gigs. 2 hours, 2.5 hours away from where we lived and stuff to go and just get 10 minutes stage time or 5 minutes on a gong show. Do you know what I mean? So, like the PYS, the Ram Comedy Festival, all the stuff in Nottingham. It's really good because it does mean people out there get out and support live comedy because without those audiences, it just doesn't cut it. But you've got some fantastic gigs, cheap gigs as well. They're not like. A lot of them are free entry or very small amounts to do. I mean, most of the festival gigs in Derby are free. I think 80% or something, James said. Whereas, I mean, ours is a £5 for 2 comedians, decent comedians, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we've sold 3 or 4 tickets. But
which is good. We know that's good. Very established acts can have a washout, zeros. So this don't want to interrupt you, Chris, but I'd be happy with 4 tickets at this stage because you'll sell more in the last week than you will now. So no, you're doing good. You're doing good. And I think the other person I really should mention in what's happened to me in comedy is Benny Shakes, he's a good friend of Chris and I. So I spend a lot of time with Benny, and I've helped Benny with his children's entertainment tours as well because he works in disability awareness. So he's a very skilled pro level comedian with cerebral palsy and plays the tonics and the glees and all of it and at that level. And working with Benny to support him with the disability awareness workshops with children that enabled me to get a pro level gig in Hull, which I probably should have listed as one of the better gigs. But what I would say is, whilst I was able to hold my own with a prepared practice set in Hull, I've enjoyed myself probably more in other environments. So I should be able to say, oh yeah, I've played with pro level comedians, but I think there's also a bit of imposter syndrome. I think I kind of got away with it. And I definitely did get away with it because the promoter said it went well and they don't have to say that. But I think going back to that level, I'd want to come with all the stuff that's more prepared and a set that I've been working on for a year or 2, which is perfectly normal and reasonable. So I know I can do it at that level with the skills I have, but to do it consistently is going to take a lot more.
Yeah, it's constant learning, mate. It's constant. Yeah. You open mic comedians want to be on pro bills and open. The 10 spots on pro bills want to be doing paid 15s and 20s, and then the paid 15 middle 20s want to be doing opening and MCing, and the MCs and the openers want to be doing headlining, and then the head there want to be doing bigger clubs and the big weekend clubs, and then those guys want to be doing fucking tours, and then those guys want to be doing Netflix specials. There's no ceiling. It doesn't kind of, and it's just a brilliant journey to be on. And like you say, and we'll wrap up now, and I'll hand over to Charlie. But yeah, we've done nearly an hour, and it feels like half an hour. That does. It doesn't
Yeah,
feel like
such a nice chat.
It's the longest I've ever looked at somebody with love and awe wearing a fucking Notts County top and one wearing a. So yeah, but yeah, there's so many nice people in comedy, and like I say, the East Midlands, West Midlands, Sheffield, that those kind of areas, sort of that M1 corridor kind of thing. It's picking up so well, and there's so many different gigs out there. People get to as many as you can because you're seeing the stars of the future coming up. I think, and Craig's one of those guys. Wacky than Wackaday.
Yeah, Timmy Mallet.
Thank you.
Anyway, over to Charlie.
So Craig, you mentioned earlier that you've watched the pods.
Okay, you're going to test me.
No. There's no test. So you've obviously come across the Funnyfarm Showdown.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, you'll know all about
First time anyone said yes.
I know. I'm surprised. You could win it this week.
You
Right,
will win because he doesn't like me winning.
Here we go. I'm just getting the jingle ready. Here we go. We've been queuing this up. Hang on. Welcome to the Funny Farm. The lads are back causing harm, talking shite but full of charm. It's the Funny Farm Showdown. Hello and welcome to this week's Funny Farm Showdown guest special. And today's subject is animals most likely to host Wackaday.
Okay.
I love this. This is my favourite topic ever.
Go on then, Chris.
So is it seamless? So what? So is the idea that we just use this as a jumping off point, Charlie?
No, you got to. I thought you said you watched the pod.
Yeah, but what do we do with this bit?
You have to select an animal that would be a good host of Wackaday.
Yeah.
And explain why you feel that animal
100%.
would be a good host of Wackaday. I'll tell you what, I'll do mine. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for kangaroo.
Right, Chris.
Because kangaroos kick and wallop things, don't they? They're good at the fucking boxing and they can fucking hit you with the legs and the tail. So I think they'd be really good at the Wackaday bit. Just have to put mallet on the end of their arm, wouldn't you?
Right, okay. We'll accept that. I think there's some zania animals out there who are more on the ADHD spectrum, though, isn't there? So, Craig, what's your animal?
Well, I'm going to go with my my favourite animal, which is the llama, because I don't know if they're a dog or a monkey, and I should probably know that by now. But I just think they're absolutely incredible, and I think they're kind of almost like Tigger ability to bounce around off their tail is unmatched. And if you ever get the chance to go to the zoo in the Lake District, you can just walk amongst them, and they're absolute sods. They'll nick everything out your bags and terrorise you. So I would say that the ring-tailed lemur would be absolutely my pick for host of Wackaday.
Oh, lemur!
It's at you as well.
Ah, lemur! I thought you said llama. I thought you said llama at first. Lemur, yes.
So we've got well, there's the llama's the one that. The llamas are the ones that spit at you. The lemurs are the ones that just sort of sit there with their arms out. They're like dog monkeys.
Right, yeah. Yeah. It's an odd one this week. Yeah. I think I'm going to have to go with Craig, though.
Fucking knew you would.
That's a fix. I'll take it. Have you ever won one, Chris?
Yeah. He's won a few on the trot. He won a few on the trot the other week, actually. Yeah,
pretty good.
He always comes out with primates normally. And to be honest with you, he has had kangaroo before, but I wasn't going to pull him on that.
I haven't had kangaroo. Joe had kangaroo.
Yeah, but it's still sort of like in your subconscious to bring up.
Yeah, but you can't eliminate an animal just because we've had it before.
You can.
Do you know what I mean?
You can.
That's like saying Craig can't become a character comedian because he's done straight stand-up.
Nothing like that.
Or you can't become...
As you can tell, Craig, he is a sore loser. He's
or
just
because
not losing.
or you can't wear an Everton shirt because you're a Liverpool fan. Do you know what I mean? You can't fucking on me. Anyway, well done, Craig. Congratulations on winning the Funny Farm
It was all
showdown.
going so well. Yeah, no, I enjoyed that. That was good.
Right, guys, please write into us. Charlie loves reading the emails and he don't get enough of them. Give him something to fucking do while I'm editing and doing 6 hours a day on that. I'm only kidding, he does loads. hello@funnyfarmpod.co.uk. Please follow us on all the socials. Let's get him out of that Everton shirt. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, fucking everything, Spotify, everything. We're like dog shit. We are all over the fucking place. Please follow me, Chris Richmond, on Facebook and Chris Rich Comedian on Instagram and TikTok. Craig, any socials to plug? Any shows you want to plug?
So I've got my show in June, on the 6th of June. The PYS Comedy Club runs every third Thursday, so we'll be a month from yesterday. That's in the village of Etwall, and I also helped to co-host the open mic night at the Royal Standard, the Lamb Comedy Club, which is another. We've mentioned it in a roundabout way, but it's a great place for people to try new things, and we've got a bit of a loyal audience there as well, so we have a lot of fun in those environments.
And that's every Tuesday.
That's every Tuesday. In the centre of Derby, above the Royal Standard. Again, it's a free ticket with a kind of discretionary payment if people want to do that on the way out. And it is it's a lovely place. We get people from all over the country, and we get pro level trying new stuff as well. So I know, Chris, you've used that to kind of work the kinks out of some stuff.
Yeah.
We get high level as well as people that decide they want to do it on the day. We've had people from the audience get up and tell a joke, and that's what it's all about.
So, Charlie, that could be your first gig.
Could be.
Come on, Charlie. And we'll go straight from there to the Naughty Pineapple, because you want to know.
Yeah, take him down the Naughty Pineapple. So that sounds good, doesn't it? We're going to take you down the Naughty Pineapple.
Yeah.
Right, guys. Thank you for joining us, Craig. You've been a wonderful guest. One of my
thanks, Dave. Brilliant. Thanks, Dave.
And love you to bits, pal. And,
thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Anything else, Charlie?
No, I'm good.
Brilliant. We love you all. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you guys.